before we go tonight, I also want to touch on a headline that really hit home with me. I found it the other day, and it really put the war in Afghanistan into perspective for me, and just shows who the real terrorists are. It's taken from Raw Story. I'll paste it into the chat. Basically, it says, the headline is 92% of Afghans have never heard of 9/11. Fewer than 1 in 10 Afghans are aware of the 9/11 attacks and their precipitation of the war in Afghanistan, says a study from an international think tank. A report from the International Council on Security and Development shows that 92% of those surveyed had never heard of the coordinated multiple attacks on US soil on September 11th. 92% of Afghan citizens have never heard of 9/11. That's a pretty revealing article to me. So these poor Afghan villagers and farmers that have these stormtroopers raiding their country don't even know the propaganda reason for them being there. You know, they don't even know the fake reason for them being there. To them, these foreigners have just come into their country and destroyed it for no reason, or because they hate Islam, because they're the evil West, and that's just going to make that whole way of thinking even worse for them over there. What do you expect? You know, and it just goes to show that Al-Qaeda, this worldwide Islamist army that hides in Afghanistan and all these Middle Eastern countries, and Bin Laden, this supposed popular leader, they're not doing a very good job of spreading their message if only 92% of Afghans have even heard of 9/11. You'd think if they really did the attack and they were really that powerful and well known, and they actually were in Afghanistan like has been claimed, you'd think they'd be bragging about it. You'd think the word would have gotten round by now, you know. These are the people that are supposed to have been protecting terrorists, and they'd never even heard of 9/11. And of course, in truth, you know, not the 9/11 hijackers, a lot of them were Saudi. And there's no real evidence of the culprits even being in Afghanistan, you know. Bin Laden's now dead. And you have Noam Chomsky coming out, the supposed gatekeeper of 9/11, and he comes out and basically says there was no evidence that Al-Qaeda even did 9/11 and no basis for the invasion of Afghanistan. The Afghan authorities, they said, we'll give you Bin Laden. We don't know where he is, we'll give you him, just show us some intelligence, show us some proof that he's here. Well, they didn't, they just invaded. So a lot of these 92% are actually correct when they think it's an occupation and they're being invaded, because that's exactly what's happening. I mean, stop and think. If an army invaded this country, murdered thousands of us, and we weren't told the reason why, or we didn't understand why, do you think we'd thank them? You think we'd say, oh, thanks for freeing us from British monarchy and our coalition governments? Yeah, they're corrupt, but we don't want to be bombed to death, do we? We wouldn't thank them and join them. Yet you have all these bullshit propaganda pieces on the news about how the troops are winning the hearts and minds of the Afghan people. If 92% of people don't even know why they're there, how can they be winning their hearts and minds? It's complete lies. They just walk in there, take over a village, say this is what's happening, this is what you're growing in your fields, and they're forced. You think they're going to say, no, fuck you, they'll get shot or something. You know, you've seen the videos, some idiot troops pushing around an Afghan guy that's not following orders, and he's saying, you know, we're bringing you freedom, we're saving you from Al-Qaeda, and the Afghan guy's like, what the hell are you talking about? Perhaps you should at least explain to them why you're there, and not come in with all this you know, patriotic rubbish about spreading democracy. It's ridiculous. And of course, the very militants that are in that country, because there are some, obviously, they were trained and armed and manipulated by the United States. Hillary Clinton now admits that the US is responsible for the troubles in Afghanistan. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but this is just one of those headlines that really puts things into perspective. Even if every official line about conflicts in the Middle East was correct, this war is still a massive failure. It's cost God knows how much money, and it's not working. And they say they're going to pull troops out, but that's still in years to come. Then we'll have the private contractors. It's just sad. I don't know what else to say. It's just a sad state of affairs. I mean, with Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan and all the other drone attacks, Yemen, everywhere else, what we've got on our hands, folks, is pretty much a Holocaust. That's what it is. Based on a false flag attack that they set up so we could invade Afghanistan, then the non-existent WMDs so we could invade Iraq, and then we get stupid things like underpants bombers and printer cartridges. Oh, now we must go to Yemen because there was a printer cartridge. It's so obvious. These wars are almost completely created by the West at every stage, from training the future enemy to false flagging a reason for them to become the enemy, to the propaganda put out so all of us stupid people that don't look any further into it think they're the real enemy. And it's all created by the West. And then of course real terrorists are born because we're invading in their countries and causing chaos, and they now have a reason to hate us. They've always had a reason to hate us. We've always been there interfering, covert ops. And you get these idiots, I'm getting fed up of it, you know, support our troops, support our lads. Well, the same system is coming back to get you now, you dumbasses. You're now the enemy. You can't even fly without getting cancer or being molested. Oh dear. You know, the checkpoints in Iraq, they aren't even as invasive as the ones at our airports. And we get all this because some patsy set off some firecrackers in his pants. In his pants. Good God, what is the world coming to?